voices of my mother's gods. I cannot hear them anymore. Not even a whisper.
They are lost. You will not see them or hear them ever again.
You lie, child. Or whatever you truly are behind that innocent face.
No, Jane Cassinder. I speak the truth. What remained of your mother's gods...
You told me that this forest grew from the seed of the first creation. Is it dead then?
That cannot be. My mother searched for thousands of years, and this was the only...
The power in this forest might have been used to restore the old gods and all their not the twisted half-life that you gave them, Jane Cassinder. A true rebirth, as they were at the dawn of the world. But you called upon that power to destroy. You twisted the power of creation to your own ends, until all that was left was an empty shell.
And the Archons I fought in the forest? The ones that...
Dead. Wilted like blossom. When you slew the reborn god, all... In time, the forest will recover. But it will be ordinary. No...
Why did this power respond to Jane and no one else?
Jane's mother was first sister. When she died, her fire passed to Jane. The first sister stood at the right hand of her gods. Only pale shadows of their minds persisted in this. That is why Jane saw her gods in visions and dreams. And that is why Jane could unlock the power that was buried here.
The forest was already corrupted, even before Jane tried to call the Ark.
The first time Jane called on the power of the old gods, it was to murder human. She knew she was misusing that power. But she was... After that, the Mournweald grew rotten and sick.
So she came back and made the same mistake a second time.
Yes, driven by anger again. So the Archons that she called back to life were nothing but monsters.
Guilt!
Yes, Jane Cassinder. You can hide your remorse from yourself, but you cannot hide it from me.
We have a decision to make. What...
Wait. I have a question. And I may never be able to... I was born in this grove 30 years ago. Was I not?
Yes. I found you here, on the day the Legion died.
So the Creator Gods. Whatever remained of them.
That may be. Yes.
If that's true, it must have happened quickly. Soon after Jane destroyed the Legion, but before the forest became corrupt.
Perhaps the Creator Gods knew that they were doomed, and they wanted Anjali to destroy them.
If that is true, then at least I've honored them. Thank you. Your words give...
And Jane? What of her?
As long as she lives, Jane is a threat. A sword hanging over our necks. The Legion will never be safe.
I expect no mercy from the Legion. Do as you like.
Before I pass judgment on you, I want to know why you acted as you did. Honestly, and in your own words.
Why did I slaughter so many Legionnaires who had no part in killing my father, the king? I was young, full of anger. My father was dead, so I raised an army. I swore to avenge him If the other Legionnaires had handed over Mont Baron, I would never have hunted them down. But they were so stubborn. That was wrong of me. I should not have punished the whole
You're sorry for killing the Legionnaire?
No. I would kill him again. You asked for honesty. There you...
The Mournweald was sacred to your people, and especially to your mother.
Mont Baron lured me to this place. Somehow, he knew what... He believed that I would never dare to strike him down. Not in the presence of my mother's gods.
He was wrong. You used the power of the Mournweald.
Mont Baron was so arrogant. So sure that he'd out... That smug look on his face. With no hint of remorse for what he'd done. That was what doomed him. Most of all. I will never understand why the forest allowed him to enter, when so many others were kept out.
Unless your gods meant to test you. Perhaps they wanted to know if your devotion to them...
I never thought of that. If that is true...
You've told me why you destroyed the Legion, but why fight a war?
I will answer your question with one of my own. Do you believe that Rosalind would make... My father was a king, my mother a chief among her people and chosen of her gods. I have made mistakes, yes, but I know how to lead. And Rosalind, she... Honesty. There you...
The Mournweald was sacred to your people, and especially to your mother.
Montbaron lured me to this place. Somehow, he knew what... He believed that I would never dare to strike him down. Not in the presence of my mother's gods.
He was wrong. You used the power of the Mournweald.
Montbaron was so arrogant. So sure that he'd out... That smug look on his face. With no hint of remorse for what he'd done. That was what doomed him. Most of all. I will never understand why the Forest allowed him to enter, when so many others were kept out.
Unless your gods meant to test you. Perhaps they wanted to know if your devotion to them...
I never thought of that. If that is true...
You've told me why you destroyed the Legion, but why fight a war?
I will answer your question with one of my own. Do you believe that Rosalind would make... My father was a king, my mother a chief among her people and chosen of her gods. I have made mistakes, yes, but I know how to lead. And Rosalind, she has the heart of a lamb. Would you...
By the laws of Ebb, Rosalind has the better claim.
The better claim? Because her father was legitimate. I was the king's eldest child. He did not marry my mother, but he loved her better than his queen. The best claim was mine, save for a technicality.
I have no more questions.
And I am ready for your...
You may not expect any mercy from the Legion, but I won't kill you.
Am I to be your prisoner, then? Paraded through the streets in a gilded cage?
You'll have a fair and public trial. Let the people judge you.
You are not the Legion I remember. They were arrogant, and justice of any kind was their privilege. I accept your judgment of me.
You are bound by your words, Jane Cassinder. The Legion has won.
It's over then.
For now, you deserve a rest. But it may be short-lived.
We need to build our strength and train more Legionnaires.
And you will need them soon. But you've shown yourself to be fair, as well as strong.
You and I started this together. Whatever comes next, I will follow where you lead.
We part ways then. I will be watching. And one day, I will see you again.
You bid farewell to the Radiant Youth, and he sent you back to our chapter house in Stonebridge, where I awaited your return. In the weeks that followed, news spread of Jane Cassinder's defeat. Her army scattered, giving us time to rest and regroup. Martin Guiscard returned safely from the Spire, along with Meister Wolf and the Automaton army. Only a few weeks later, elections were held in Stonebridge. Meister Wolf, who had been so public in his support of the Legion, almost won the office of mayor. But he was defeated in the end. Many people had wanted the dapper old gent to hang. They resented the fact that the Legion had spared his life, and they blamed poor Wolf. After the humiliating events in the Foundry, Meister Castle was forced to resign as Guildmaster of Ironmongers. The Cyclopses negotiated a new contract for higher wages, and with the help of Meister Fiddlewick, formed a new workers' union. For the first time in 100 years, they were permitted to leave the Foundry and spend their newfound wealth in the markets and taverns of Stonebridge. Cyclopses are becoming an increasingly common sight in Stonebridge, and many believe that they will eventually take their place as equal citizens of the town. Archambault du Payen, formerly known as the Dapper Old Gent, proved a valuable addition to the Legion. His knowledge of Legion magic allowed us to retake control of the Sentinels that had long guarded our chapter houses and estates. But the people of Stonebridge still bore him a grudge, so we were forced to send the Gent north for his own safety. There, he took possession of Gunderic Manor, and all the magic that lay within. In time, the manor will again become a training ground for a new generation of Legion mages. With the reopening of the Heroes Crypt, pilgrims returned to the Rukenval, and merchants followed. The following winter was harsh, just as Lazar Basili feared. But thanks to the trade from the south, the people of Ravensrill stayed warm and fed. When spring came, many more pilgrims arrived, and the town of Ravensrill grew wealthy again. Lazar and his people built a new stone wall around the town, and reclaimed their abandoned houses and farmsteads from the forest. It is a happy change of fortune for a long-suffering town. Queen Rosalind abandoned Glitterdelve, embarking on a tour of all the cities and towns of the West, meeting as many of her subjects as she could. The Queen showed all the energy of youth, and I think she fully expects to reunite the country in a matter of months, not years. Reality may not be so kind, as Lord Devonsey has tried to make her understand. In truth, the future of this country depends more upon what we decide. If she doesn't have the Legion behind her, the Queen is only a single voice, well-meaning though she might be. Jane Cassinder was brought as a prisoner to Stonebridge, and a great public trial was convened to decide her fate. Representatives of all the major factions sat in judgment. Everyone agreed that she was guilty of terrible crimes against Ebb, but her sentence was the cause of great debate. It was Meister Mudgutter, with typical goblin cunning, who devised her punishment. Jane Cassinder was imprisoned in the same mining tunnels where she had trapped the royal court, sealed forever beneath the ground, in the endless dark. An Archon thrives upon fire. Who knows what terrible change she might suffer when she is forever deprived of light. I only know this. The pale, withered hand that emerges from her cell each day to take her plate of food bears little resemblance to the woman who was shut inside. As for the Legion, the rest of our story is yet to be told. We have a nation to reforge, a fellowship to rebuild, and old enemies who would see us destroyed. And we have questions to decide. Who will assume true power in Ebb if the nation is restored? And who will take the mantle of Grand Master? But these matters I leave for another chronicle and another time. Whatever happens, know that you will not face the future alone. The Legion will stand by you, always.